Hey, welcome back to True-Moto-Resto. Just thought I'd give a quick first ride review of the Honda Valkyrie 1800. I took it out yesterday for the very first time. I bought this, so it's now middle of April, and we had just had a run of weather which was, I don't know, mid 20s to low 30 degrees, which is kind of very nice and very unusual for the time of year. It's kind of back to crappy cool weather again today. But so anyway, yesterday the dirt road that I have from my house here dried up enough that I felt I could get the bike out and give it its first ride. And so yeah, here's my my first impressions of the bike. So it's very comfortable. The riding position, I thought it was going to be somewhat similar to the M109R, but of course it is quite different because the excuse me, the foot peg positions are much more like a conventional sitting position, whereas on the M109R, you know, your feet are much further forward like that. On this, your legs are quite, it's kind of, I'll call it a very standard riding position. Almost the same sort of position I'd be in on my Africa Twin, except you're sitting a whole lot lower down. So yeah, it's not a far reach to the bars. The leg position is very comfortable. And when you're sitting on it and you're driving, it really doesn't feel like the giant monster of a bike that it is. Because I mean, unless you kind of look, because when you're driving it, you kind of see about that. You see the gauge cluster, and that bike doesn't feel heavy when you're rolling. When you kind of look down, then you kind of get the obviously you get the feeling of just how wide this thing is. But yeah, it behaves very, very well. Smooth shifting, obviously a very, very smooth 6-cylinder boxer engine in this thing. 5-speed transmission, shaft drive. And I thought it would be whisper quiet, but it isn't. And that's fine. I have no concerns about the sound that it makes. It's got quite a nice throaty rumble to it. Those are the stock pipes, so it's not whisper quiet. It makes enough good sounds, so that's a good thing. The only thing that I found, and this seems to be a common complaint from Valkyrie riders, is the position of the left side, the gear shifter versus the foot peg. So you've really got to, when you're sitting on the thing, you've you kind of have to point your foot quite a ways down to get it under that shifter. And most of my boots are not bulky boots, so that's okay. It works okay. But that's the only kind of downside that ergonomically that I felt. And I found actually that I could just kind of catch the edge of it with my toe a lot easier than trying to get my whole toe under it, and that worked quite well. Most of the guys that I've read on the forum say that they can just kind of get used to it and then it's fine. Some people swap these pegs out for lower running boards, but then they have issues with grounding out. Some guys have put lower pegs on instead of lower running boards. Some people have tried heel toe shifters. I think I'm just going to leave it as it is and I'll just get used to it. That's fine. The only thing I did find is I took some back roads and I took some highway routes as well, and when I had a headwind on the highway there's no windshield on this thing, so it was a bit of punishment on my neck keeping my head up if you hit, like, you know, 110 kilometers an hour or more and you've got a headwind. It was kind of hard on the neck, so I might look into getting a windshield for it. There's not a ton of options, and the options that are out there are not cheap. So I'm expecting to have to pay somewhere between $400 and $500 US to get a decent looking windshield for it. I might go with a Gustafsson Plastics windshield. I sent them a note last night, so we'll see when I get a reply back. I might go that route. But all in all, you know, seats reasonably comfortable. It's typical Honda seat. Most Honda seats I find are quite firm, but it wasn't uncomfortable at all. And the reach to the bars was quite good. There's lots of, as you would expect from a 6-cylinder 1800cc engine, lots of power. It's a pretty smooth power delivery, little to no vibration. The shifting is pretty crisp. The throttle wasn't sort of grabby or jerky at all. On some shaft drive bikes, they can kind of tend to lurch a little bit when you're getting off on and off the throttle, but I didn't really find that too much with this. It was pretty smooth, and yeah, it looks incredible. The look of this bike is, well, I guess it's one of those bikes where you either love it or you hate it, but I love it. I think it's a very, very cool looking bike. And I especially like the black. So yeah, it was a good first ride. I went out for maybe an hour. I just didn't want to let that nice day kind of roll by without giving this thing a go. It's been sitting here in the garage since like the first week of January when I bought it, so there was no way to ride it until yesterday. So yeah, I'm so far so good. Very happy with it. And hopefully I get a lot of trouble-free riding miles, and most likely we'll end up with a windshield. We'll see how that goes. Thanks for watching.